welcome to today's episode of Conversation with Karen and Kat. I'm Karen Scott Green.
And I'm Kat Hardrick.
And we are here today with Council Member Austin Thompson. And Austin is a member of the Lawrenceville City Council. And Austin, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, there's so many different facets to Austin Thompson, right? So I've practiced summarizing,
Right.
the short biography, the elevator speech, right? No, but I'm originally from Georgetown, Guyana, South America.
Okay.
Immigrated to the United States in '77. Grew up in New York, Brooklyn, New York, and then relocated here to the Metro Atlanta area in 1992. I've been here like 30 years. I can't believe it.
Wow.
Like 30 years, 45 years in the U.S. It's like time has flown.
That's right.
So you now have been here longer than you probably were in Guyana?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. But I do make frequent trips back.
Do you?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yeah. So, my background is electronic engineering technology. Worked in the engineering field for 25 years, 17 as a project engineer, and 6-7 years in sales and business development, and also senior project management. So I've just diversified my skill sets, and you have folks who are just they stay on one plateau.
Yeah.
Right? They just have that love for and passion for one thing. I've always had a love and passion for different things. So I love teaching, and I've taught in the classroom.
Have you now?
Yeah,
I have a passion for teachers. That's a disclosure. I have a passion for teachers.
Oh, you do? Okay,
Yeah,
so I taught at Shorter University for 8 years.
Okay.
And I'm about to go back into the classroom at Greenville Technical College. Yes.
Where at?
Yeah, Greenville Technical College, Greenville, South Carolina. So it'll be a commute.
Gotcha.
It'll be an hour and 40-minute commute each
Every
way.
day?
Wow.
No, 2 days out of the week.
Okay.
2 days out of the week.
So, teaching, a councilman, and then you have your consulting firm.
Consulting firm, and I also do events, workshops, and conferences for small business owners and entrepreneurs.
Okay.
So. Yeah,
So what I wanted to touch on is one of the reasons why we wanted to interview, because there was something actually historic in your win when you ran for city council in 21.
That's right.
And could you share that with our listeners?
Sure. Yeah. So with my win in the 200-year history of Lawrenceville, I'm the first African American male to serve on the city council, first Caribbean male to serve on the city council, So it's when I ran, I never put that in the forefront, right? Because I was just running to be a city councilman, right? But but I also let folks know that as we are a city, growing in with immigrants and people from different countries and different cultures and backgrounds, it was important for them to know that someone from an immigrant background was going to be on the city council.
Yeah.
If they got out there and vote, and someone will have a seat at the table for them.
That's right. That's
So
right.
so it was historic, and I mentioned that during my my speech when I was sworn in, and it was a great moment. It was
absolutely.
Yeah, it was a great moment.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I really I lost in my first run in 2019 and came back and won significantly in the second second election. So sometimes when I think back to it, it was a surreal moment. Like, wow. Okay, I was elected.
What motivated you to run?
That's right.
And then to run again?
Oh man, look, when I was running in 2019, I didn't come into 2019 with the intent to run. I read in the Gwinnett Post that Mayor Judy Jordan Johnson at that time was not going to run for her third term, and David Still, who was the post 1 councilman at the time, decided to run, and that left his post available.
Okay.
And I thought to myself, man, these folks here in Gwinnett have been trying to get me to run for something for so long. Austin, you need to run for this. Austin, you need to run for that. So I said, you know what? Let me go ahead and run. What can I lose? So I got in there a little bit late.
Okay.
Not too late. Probably like around April, May. And so when you run for office, you got a whole host of things you got to do. You got to declare your intent. You got to go through finance, all the paperwork and declarations and all kinds of things. things, and I was just like, oh my goodness. But it was a fun process, because I had to get my campaign chair, the campaign treasurer, had to,
field manager.
Field manager. You have to get everything, your website and all your things together.
And start getting the money.
And start getting the money, and start doing the fundraising and everything. And it was a great process. It was daunting in the beginning, but afterwards, you speak to different people. I've been around candidates for a long time because I've actually been a volunteer for actively for like over 30 years.
Oh wow!
So I've always aligned myself with whatever candidates I see who was running.
Right.
If I felt that these candidates share my views and my ideas, I would contact their offices and say, hey, I would like to volunteer for your office. So I do door knocking, do fundraisers, phone banking, so on and so forth. And I mean, political offices at different levels.
Right.
Yeah.
So you actually walk the walk and talk the talk. And
Yes,
so
ma'am.
that's one of the things that you did when you were campaigning, and that's something that you continue to do. You have Coffee with a Candidate, correct? So speak to that a little bit.
Yeah. So Coffee with a Candidate, is an initiative, or was, because it's Coffee with a Candidate. I'm no longer a candidate. So Coffee with a Candidate was an initiative that I set up where anybody from the community, right? Because you have different ways to reach the community.
That's right.
You've got phone calls, you've got door knocking, so on and so forth, right? But sometimes you don't really get folks, all at one time. So I opened up myself and I said, hey, I will be at Euro Gourmet Cafe the first and third Saturday of every month.
Right.
For 2 hours. Come on out and meet me. And in all my campaign material, I put that out there, and I had folks that come out and meet me. They say, hey, I saw you. You came by my door. You left something on my door, and I saw that you were doing this initiative here. So when I was elected, that now was transitioned from Coffee with the Candidate to Coffee with Councilman Thompson.
That's right.
Because I mean, for the next 4 years,
that's right,
as I sit on the city council, I am making myself available. And I want my constituency, I want the residents in Lawrenceville, whether you reside or you have business in the city, come out and talk with me.
That's right.
I'm sitting there for 2 hours with you in mind to come out and talk with me. Let me know what's on your mind, what your challenges and concerns are. Let me take that back to the city council and discuss it. And this is why we say representation is important.
That's right.
And having a seat at the table is important because now you can bring your concerns to me and I can take them to the city council.
And you're ultimately taking your constituents with you. You're not sitting up there alone. You're sitting there with your constituents.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you still at the same restaurant, or what
I'm still at the Euro.
Let the listeners know.
Yeah, I'll be at the Euro Gourmet Cafe. It's the first and third Saturday of every month, unless I have to change the date because things do come up for council business. But it's at 488 Gwinnett Drive, right on the corner of Gwinnett Drive and 124 Scenic Highway, Euro Gourmet Cafe.
Yeah,
so that's what I mean. Yeah, exactly.
I've never been in there.
Yes,
what time?
And I'm there from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. On the first and third Saturday of every month.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah. So that's great. So there's an opportunity, like I said, to come out, sit, let's have. And I like intimate conversations with folks. I'm a conversationist. Right?
Conversations with Karen and Kat.
That's right. That's right. I'm a conversationist. I could talk my head off. I love to talk.
No,
I know, right? Surprises me too, right? But no, for me, it's important to really to get connected with the residents, to get connected with the constituents. I've been a community activist for years, for like over 30 years. I've been in the community with different organizations, church organizations, NAACP, SCLC when I moved here to Atlanta, and different organizations that like CANI, the Guyana Association of Georgia, Latin America Association. So I've always been involved with organizations that help families and work with the youth and young people. So for me, I have an innate concern, to try and extract, information from people and how I can help.
That's right.
And what are some initiatives that you are passionate about in Lawrenceville that you are either implementing or that you want to see implemented?
One thing right now is affordable housing. That's one of the biggest things. I know it's a national issue, not just an issue in Lawrenceville. But what we're seeing is that we're seeing developers, and development is great. And I have this. I created a vision plan when I ran the first time and I revised it for my second time. And it's actually literally a document that just, it's not a high level. Now it opens up, it breaks open and goes into detail on my platforms and and basically states how I want to approach each platform point. So I'm all for development. And I had this discussion with several people. They thinking that I'm anti-business. I'm not. Development is great for any municipality. Right. It brings in new people, it brings in traffic, it brings attention, tax revenue, which is important, because that revenue is used now for infrastructure development, right? The thing that we really have to be concerned about is when we're developing apartments and homes, and we really need to focus on creating a block, like a set, like 10 to 15% of that inventory
set aside
exactly for income eligible applicants. Right. Not everybody can afford a $500,000, $600,000 home or $15,000 to $2,000 apartment.
Affordability is subjective, so we definitely need to make sure there's something for each person's bracket.
It is.
Whereas before, when we were buying a house 20-something years ago, a starter home was considered in like the $150,000, $150,000, $175,000.
Yes.
Now that's gone up to like $350,000, $400,000 for a starter home.
And most of the developments are rentals. So you're having not necessarily all apartment buildings, but you're having subdivisions that are for rent.
Yeah.
So it almost seems as though home ownership is going to be very few, a thing of the past.
Right.
So what are your thoughts about that?
Well, it's funny you mentioned, the rental, the homes that are developed for rentals. You have corporations that are buying up these things, right? It's
right.
And
my
again,
subdivision, it's happened.
Right.
Really?
Right. Yeah, and they're corporations. And now this is we're in a free market economy, right? We're a free market economy. This is capitalism at best, right? Okay, fine. I'm all for entrepreneurship and business development. At the same time, I like for us to take a look at how we're impacting folks who are not making a living wage or barely above a living wage, and making sure that they have a good quality community and a good quality home to live in.
That's right.
Right?
That's
and when we look at the bottom line, right, that companies and corporations are focused on, right? We also, just as much as we pay attention to that, we also have to pay attention to how we're developing our municipality to make sure that our residents are comfortable.
That's right.
Now you have legacy residents in Lawrenceville or in any community, right?
30,
who would like to move in generational. Exactly. They can't afford to move into any one of these homes or even to stay because of the rising cost of living, right? You also have, we have two major colleges in the community. We have Georgia Gwinnett College and we have Gwinnett Technical College.
Great college.
Newly grads, right? If they're looking for someplace reasonable to live, if they're not coming out of college making $80,000, $90,000 a year, and they have to start out maybe at 55, 60, until they start moving up, it's going to be hard for them to really take up residency in the city unless they're doing a roommate plan with two or three. Which is what's happening.
Or move back home.
Which is happening. Right? So we're potentially losing our intellectual capital, right? Losing them to other cities and other areas of the United States where they find affordability and where there's opportunities for them to go and work and create, a career and living space for themselves. We can retain that intellectual capital in our city. Those students coming out of Gwinnett, that's a lot of technology expertise coming out of Gwinnett Technical College.
That's right.
Right? It's a lot of expertise coming out of Georgia Gwinnett College. Right? But we have to be able to create those opportunities for housing, those housing opportunities for them to move into something that's affordable.
Right.
So that's one of my concerns, is looking at ways in which we can create that, working with the Gwinnett Housing Authority, Lawrenceville Housing Authority, to see how we can get that done in our city.
So is Lawrenceville offering, what incentives are they offering for builders to create affordable housing? Because I know, like in the city of Atlanta, they offered bonds and to developers to come in to Atlanta to create a certain percentage of the housing, make it income based, but they gave them incentives, tax incentives to come in. Is Lawrenceville interested in doing anything like that?
Well, we haven't really discussed anything like that.
Okay.
But that is something that myself and representatives from the Lawrenceville Housing Authority and
are discussing.
That's good.
You know, we just saw an ordinance, you know, established with Gwinnett County for affordable housing to be built. You know, so we want to be able to see if we can do the same in Lawrenceville. You know, if we can find the space and be able to create those opportunities. And like you said, the tax advantage incentives. So we have to incentivize this for our developers. We don't want to push the developers away. We don't want to push them away.
We need them.
We need them. Right?
We do need them.
We need them because that's jobs. You know, and that's the other campaign point that I'm focused on.
That's right.
You know, job creation, living wage jobs, jobs of the future like STEM, engineering, science, engineering, technology, and math. You know,
so people can actually be able to afford to live here.
Yes.
So just creating jobs in and of itself, is you know, we want people to be able to afford.
Exactly.
You know, without having to work 3 and 4 jobs, being able to afford a home, being able to afford to put their kids in school.
Exactly.
So
and the jobs need to be full-time jobs.
Full-time.
Because I've had people communicate to me that they may receive $15 an hour, but they're not getting 40-hour work.
They're not getting 40 hours. Yeah,
then they're not getting benefits.
And that's a concern.
That is a huge concern.
That's a huge concern.
Yeah, you may say we have increased your wage above minimum wage, and that's great. But if they don't get the full package, then they're really not being able to take care of themselves and their loved ones.
Exactly, and that's where the living wage, above living wage salaries come in, because if you're not making that full 40 hours, and if the company's not providing healthcare benefits, then you have to go out, maybe Obamacare or go into some other program and pay for your own benefits. And
or
that's not.
They end up at the public hospitals and, you know, creating bills that they're not going to be able to pay. And ultimately, all of us as taxpayers end up subsidizing so that, you know, our county hospitals don't go under. You know? So that's. And so ultimately, it's on all of us, you know, in the community, to make sure that folks who want to do these kind of plans are supported.
That's right.
So the first 6 months of this year, I was sworn in, you know, in October, but I took office. In December, excuse me. I took office January 1st. So I used the first 6 months to like kind of learn the ropes, because you have a lot of deer in the headlights moment. Seriously, you're coming in. I've never served on a city council before. There's no
governing and running are two different things.
Exactly. Governing and running and sitting in the audience is different things. So there's no city council for dummies or anything like that. You don't get anything like that. So the first six months was like, okay, let me figure all this stuff, because literally we had 2 all-day retreats, and then the Georgia Municipal Association has its training. So every time you go to a training session, you're getting binders this thick, right? Ethics and finance, and you know how to run a city, so on and so forth, right? You either getting a binder or you're getting a packet this thick. So I mean, I got to create a room in my house now for all this stuff, right? So so it's like, okay, so whatever time you can secure, you put aside that time, you try to read through all that stuff. So that first 6 months, it was just trying to learn how to be an effective city council.
That's right.
Right?
Very good.
Because here are my campaign points. Here's my vision plan. Here's all the nice stuff that I said when I was running. Now that I'm elected,
you learn what you actually can do.
This is stuff that I can do. Right? It's like, well, why are you not doing this? And why y'all not doing this? And why are you not doing? Now you're elected, like, okay. Seriously.
But that's why your coffee with your councilman, you can have those conversations.
And that's why it's important. And not just, you know, coming out and having coffee with me, but I always encourage my constituents to please come to the city council meetings.
That's right.
It's important.
Which are
the last Monday of every month, right? The last Monday of every month at City Hall, 170 South Clayton Street. And it's at 7 o'clock. And then we have city council business meetings where we don't vote on anything during the business meetings, and that's the second Wednesday of every month at 5 o'clock. Come to City Hall. So get involved. Come out to the meetings. We usually have time on the agenda for the community to speak, 2 to 3 minutes or so. So come on out. If you have concerns, come on out and let us know. It's the only way we'll know how to address your concerns.
Councilman Thompson, what happens at the business meetings?
At the business meetings, we review any types of development plans from developers. We review consent items on the agenda, but we don't vote on anything.
Okay.
Right? We don't. It's mainly just to discuss the business of the city.
Okay.
That's right.
And what we're engaging in at the time, but at the regular city council meeting, that's when we're actually voting. On different
so
things.
you have the business meetings to kind of inform yourselves and inform the public, like what's going to be coming up on the agenda.
On the agenda.
Okay, so that's your information session.
Right. It's more of an information session. Yeah. And it's funny because when I was not running and I was just an ordinary citizen, I always thought the business meeting was a business meeting for just the council members. It wasn't until close to the election time when I got more active, I realized, so the residents can also attend the business meeting. But I was always attending the council meetings, But you learn all these things, and I guess it's a learning experience.
That's right.
And you come into it. But the main important thing is, and I say this to even when I mentor young folks at Discovery High School, going into a political position is an amazing journey and an experience. But whatever is your passion, whatever you're focused on, make sure you carry through.
That's right.
Because as anything in life, you don't get, like I tell entrepreneurs, just don't get into business ownership to get rich.
Yeah.
Right. Don't get into politics for fame. There's no fame in politics.
No, it's not.
The spotlight is always on you.
Know what your why is.
And know what your why is.
That's right.
Why am I doing it? Why did I get into it?
Right.
What's the purpose? Understand your mission. And your mission is to serve.
Yeah.
If you're not a genuine server,
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
So you just glossed over something. I'm not going to let you gloss over it.
No.
You said that you mentor at Discovery High School. So when you come to the table, Conversations with Karen and Kat, anytime anybody brings up their work with young people, you're going to have to expound. Because that's something we both are passionate about. So you're going to have to expound on your mentoring with students.
Right. So about 6 years ago, when I first around the time when I first met then Marlene Taylor Crawford, she was a community liaison for Discovery High School, and getting to know her and working with her through CANI, Community Action Network Initiatives, she recognized me as an entrepreneur, small business owner that she would want to recruit to come into Discovery to speak to the young people, to mentor the young people, and to work with them. And what that entailed was, working on them with business planning, projects, having, talks, one-on-one talks with students, doing presentations, how to start a business, what is a business, what do you look for, or what kind of qualities or characteristics that you need to have in order to be a successful business person, doing
so
marketing plans,
It is.
And I've been doing that for about 6 to 7 years now, actively.
Good.
That's such a great focus because so much of school is about getting these skills so that you can go get a job, right? But we're not teaching our young people about being entrepreneurs.
Yes, we're not.
We're just teaching them how to be workers and not leaders.
How to be workers, how to go and get a degree, and go right into the workforce, into a 9 to 5, and which is not a bad thing.
It's not.
Because somebody's got to. Someone has to work.
Someone has to work.
But they need to have options.
They need to have options.
That's all, so you're giving them options.
Exactly, especially in the trade and vocational areas. Because, right now I'm hearing there's shortage of electricians, shortage of plumbers, shortage of folks in those vocational skills, HVAC and all of that. And I have friends in those spaces, and they are balling. I'm not balling. I'm sitting on the bench.
They are. My HVAC
I've been sitting on the bench waiting to get in the game.
That's right. My HVAC guy was just him and a family member. And now you can't even you got to wait because it's just so busy. So you're absolutely right.
It's a lucrative experiences, lucrative opportunities, right? That we are sort of missing because we want our, and this, again, it's nothing wrong because we want our kids to be doctors and lawyers and engineers and so on and so forth. But you know, somebody's got to come and fix your HVAC.
Yeah. Right. Someone's got to be the plumber.
Somebody's got to be the plumber.
Yeah.
You know, when you're building all these homes all over the place, someone's got to come and take part of the, part of the construction plan and do those things.
And like you said, that's the big piece. It's not necessarily you just constantly just doing residential. Like you can get a huge contract and with these builders, and like you said, you're doing all this development in Lawrenceville. Like you can be the contractor, plumber to partner with these builders.
Exactly. Yeah. And I was really happy to be to be invited to speak at a contractor event that was hosted by the Lawrenceville Housing Authority and Layla Projaka. I think many of you know Layla, and a young lady out of Boston, Massachusetts. And the two of them organized this event, and they had about 75 different contractors, all DBE, minority business enterprises, women business owners, and so on and so forth. I know the acronyms, but some of them I don't know exactly what they mean.
That's okay.
But if you're in the construction space and you're doing government contracting, these are, the more designations you have, the more certifications you have, the better the opportunities are. You know, because there's demand out there for people with these skills and these certifications. And I spoke at the event, and it was great to meet all these different contractors in the construction space and find out who's doing what and who has contracts. And there's some amazing people doing some amazing things.
That's right.
You know, and again, these are jobs that you can actually secure without a college, without an extensive college education, right?
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to discourage it. I don't ever want to discourage anyone. And I have to put that disclaimer out there.
And another thing that people don't realize or is not focused on is that young people can use the Hope Scholarship coming out of high school to go to technical school.
Yes, they can. Yes, they can.
They, you know, and even if you don't finish high school, if you get a GED, you can also get a scholarship or a grant to go to technical school that once you finish your GED, that the state will pay for you to go.
Yeah. So they just go to Georgia Hope to find out all that stuff out. Okay.
To Georgia Hope.
That's very important. You know?
And so by the time this actually uploads and on all of our platforms, we'll have that information provided at the bottom of the screen of where young people can go to find out about the technical programs and how you can also use Georgia Hope to pay for Georgia technical colleges.
You know, and especially for let's say for instance in the engineering and the STEM fields, not a lot of women in those fields. So a lot of these young girls need to know that there are opportunities out there for young women, to go into these fields because we want you in these fields.
That's right.
African American, Hispanic students, we want there's a deficit. You know, I was a member for actively for 8 years in the National Society of Black Engineers, and this is what we focus on. I've been a leader in every level. So this is the focus of an organization like that, Black Data Processing Association, and NSBE, and you have opportunities for promoting engineering and science and technology and mathematics and saying yes.
That's right.
There are opportunities out there,
Absolutely.
So it's good to let the young folks know, you want to be a basketball player, you want to be a football player. Okay, that's nice.
That's great.
That's all
but in the event that you have an injury, what else can we do?
Exactly.
I never want to, damper someone's hoop dreams.
Exactly.
But let's have a. That's great because the schools, if you get a scholarship, they're going to pay for you to go to school. What you're going to get your education in.
Exactly.
That's right. What you can do them both at the same time.
You can do both.
Yeah.
That's right.
And you should be doing both.
You should be doing it. Exactly. Now, there's a gentleman who came out of Florida State University. I think his name is Myron. Can't remember his last name. Instead of going to the NFL, he chose to fall back on his passion and became a surgeon.
I remember,
Yes.
And so he actually is an NFL player, and he was going to medical school while he was working. While he was a football player.
Yes, out of Florida, Florida State University.
Get out of here!
And now he's a successful surgeon. He's a medical doctor. So it shows that Yes,
What's his
even
last name,
though
Roll?
Marlon, I think it's Marlon Roll. I think so.
We gotta look him up.
I think it was Roll. I think it was
Marlon Roll or Myron. I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I know you're talking
You know
about.
what I'm talking about? Yeah.
I know exactly.
Great. And it just shows that, you know, there are options. And he had a guaranteed career to play football, but chose to major and fall back on medicine.
Yeah.
You know. So I mean, he's in a commercial now. There's a commercial featuring a young African American boy with his dad, and the dad is trying to show him all these possibilities that he can consider, and look at all these great people that
Right.
you know took advantage of the opportunities they had, you know, especially in STEM, you know. But our young people need to know that, you know, STEM, there's a lucrative career, I don't mean just money, but
Right.
lucrative in terms of experiences and opportunities.
That's
you know,
right.
never get into anything for money.
That's right.
And you know, money's great. Don't get me wrong, 'cause you got to pay them student loans back.
Yeah, right.
But however, experiences are great. Experiences are much better.
Yeah, and if you, I like to live by, if I see a problem that I want to find a solution to,
Yes.
I'll always have purpose.
Right. That's right.
You
That's
know?
right.
So that's how you become a person of service.
That's right.
Trying to help others and finding a solution, and now you'll find purpose, and then money doesn't become a factor.
It sure
because
doesn't.
what drives you is
That'd
trying
be
to
secondary.
build
Absolutely.
humanity.
Yes.
And we need to continue to sow into the fabric of humanity by being of service.
Yeah. When I went for my interview at Greenville Tech, and the dean and the head of HR, it was sort of like a mini panel interview, and they were like, well, you know, we just want you to know that it doesn't pay that much, you know. But I'm like, that's fine.
You're going to be sowing into young people.
Exactly.
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
And I get the freshmen.
That's the bigger.
I get the freshmen
payoff.
coming into engineering and business.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is great.
So, wait a minute now. You're going to be, so you're a councilman, you're a professor,
Going back around.
you're
Business owner.
a mentor. What else are we leaving out?
I do a few things.
Oh, wait. Are you an author?
Yeah.
Wait, did you bring your book?
No, I didn't bring my book. I didn't bring the book. I didn't know we were going to talk about the book.
Conversations with everything on the table.
But briefly, you know, the book is about personal branding. It's personal branding, taking ownership of your personal brand.
And the name would be?
And that's the name. That's
Okay.
the name. A brand new you, taking ownership of your personal brand. And I literally wrote that, you know, when we had the housing meltdown, the mortgage crisis.
Around
2007, 2008. I was out of work for 2.5 years. And I told people that book saved me because that was my sanity. Because at that time I was either overqualified, not qualified enough, you know, all the excuses in the world. And at that time, that's when I started teaching it shorter, but like halfway through that unemployment experience. But I started to write a book because I had material I was collecting for workshops. Remember, I was doing a lot of business and entrepreneurship workshops, and this book was focused on entrepreneurs, especially solopreneurs, independent contractors, who are the faces of their business.
Right. Wow.
So how are you going out into the community to do business and having the needing the opportunity to focus on your personal brand, your image, right? How you come across to your market, how you come across to people you're trying to sell to, you know. And I expanded even to politicians. I've expanded because we as politicians, branding is important.
Absolutely.
Image is important.
It is.
Yes.
Image is important.
Because your campaign is your personal brand.
Exactly.
That's right.
You know, so I spoke about several, personalities in that book. I'm sort of kind of like for the last 10 years trying to get a follow up to the book.
Okay.
I just got to sit down and start working on the manuscript. But there's college students, and it's important for college students to begin working on their personal brand and their
Are you going to make it required reading in your
I might, because it's again, I'm catching the freshmen as they're coming in, and it's an introductory class, and then I can go into teaching, intro to business and project management and
you
principles of management.
They need to read your book. So now, what's the name of the book again?
A Brand New You.
A Brand New You.
Taking ownership of your personal brand.
A Brand New You, taking ownership of your personal brand.
Exactly.
And author, councilman, where can we find A Brand New You?
Oh, you can go to Amazon. or Barnes and Nobles, and in the search field you can put in the title of the book, and it'll pop up.
We'll make sure we have it on the link.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So again, it's all I have made my life into someone who is always dropping nuggets.
Yeah.
Teaching. I like to be taught myself.
Absolutely.
Nobody is a perfect individual.
Absolutely
No
not.
one is a perfect individual.
There was one, and he left us over 2,000.
Oh yeah, well
That's
exactly.
That's right.
Gave his life, for us.
Right.
And the thing is, you can always learn. And this is why I try to, when I'm mentoring young folks at the school or even in the community, you can always learn.
That's
and
right.
the day you think you know everything, that's the day you fall off the earth.
That's right. Yeah. It's progression, not perfection.
Exactly.
I've lost my father in 2020. But he passed away at 89. He was a few days shy of being 90.
Oh wow!
And up until he passed away in February, and up until that December, my father read 2 newspapers every day.
Wow.
Every day.
Because that was his learning, and he could have a conversation about literally anything, because he read the newspapers, and he was a voracious reader of the newspaper, but that was his learning. He didn't have the opportunity to go to college because, he was born in 1930, and the finances, the finances weren't there. But that was his college, the newspaper was his college. So we are never too old to learn learn something new.
I've met some of the most brilliant people, and I mean this. I've met some of the most brilliant people who never spent a day in a college classroom, but they were reading.
Yes,
that's right.
They were reading.
Yes,
and they were consistently engaged in conversation.
Yep.
That's right. That's right.
Oh yeah, and it happens.
Yes. Listen, I have 3 degrees, and I literally could call my father and talk to him about anything. And I said that at his funeral. I could call him and talk to him about everything and anything. And he even if he didn't know about it, he had an opinion about it.
Right.
But so all learning doesn't come, and all knowledge doesn't come from the classroom.
No, sure doesn't.
Even though we push our kids to go to school. So if we can't get to college, if you can't get to technical school, learn a trade. There are other options.
Exactly.
But
absolutely,
I love
They
that.
are. They are.
So with that being said, can you please leave us with how people can get in contact with you? But before, I'm sorry, I do want to ask you this. You are a busy man. What is your go-to favorite thing for self-care?
Walking in Alexander Park.
That is a nice
So
park.
you could probably catch me between 6:30 and 7. And I try to do an hour.
Okay.
I do on one side. I do like 4 laps. I got my push-ups.
But constituents, don't try to catch him there while he's doing his That's his me time.
Right.
If you gonna catch me at that time, you're gonna be working out with me.
That's right.
Or at 7 in the evening, because I try to stay from those the heat index is kind of crucial.
Right.
But my go-to Planet Fitness. But I try to focus more on cardio.
Right.
I am 53.
Okay.
So I'm not trying to get picked up by the NFL or anything like that. So I'm not going to be spending 8 hours working out in the gym. So I try to focus more on cardio and exercises that are not as strenuous on the body, right? As you get older, you gotta really adjust.
Yeah.
So I do a lot.
Your body will tell you what the limitations are.
Yes, and you don't recover as fast.
I'll be 53 in October, so I'm right there with you.
Okay. I'm only 28, but go ahead.
Me 28. So that's my go-to thing, and I love to read. I love to read a lot.
Good.
And I'm taking more time to focus on me.
Good.
Yeah,
as I get
very
older,
important.
because with all the things, we just discussed all the things that I'm doing, but I'm looking at all these younger people that are passing away and leaving us, and it kind of bothers me.
It does. It does.
I've got a funeral for a friend that's coming up this Saturday. He passed out on the soccer field at 52 years of age.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
I lost 3 friends a few years ago, these are a few years apart, 43, 47, and 48 to cancer and aneurysm.
Yeah.
Right? So when I celebrate my birthday, I celebrate with them.
That's right.
'Cause these were good friends, right?
Yeah.
Decent people. And you look at other folks, you're like, wow. So you're like, for me, and the other thing too is like I withdrew myself from corporate in March. I'm no longer working a 9 to 5, so I'm focused now on consulting and teaching and the city.
Yes.
So I did that because the 9 to 5 thing, the 6-figure job was great, but the stress and the demands and just sometimes you face a lot of unfairness when you're trying to go certain places, in corporate. So you're like, okay, all right, fine. I am going to develop myself outside of this job environment, and you have to realize and take the time. You know what? I have to focus on me.
That's right.
I have to focus on me. So I'm doing a lot more.
That's a panel discussion right there. Seriously.
That is.
I have to focus on me.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to especially allow you to say what is it that you do to take care of yourself and all the many things that you do in giving service to others.
Yes.
If your love cup is empty, you can't give it to anybody.
Yeah.
So what do you do to fill your love cup up? So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you.
And so with that being said, how are our listeners able to get in contact with you?
All right, so several different ways. On Facebook, you can reach me at Austin Thompson on Facebook. On LinkedIn, Austin Thompson or Austin E Thompson Jr. because my dad is Austin Thompson. So I like.
Daddy's on Facebook.
Yeah. So he's on Facebook. He's on Facebook as Austin Thompson. So I just run and joke with him. So I'm like, I don't trust you.
Right.
So I need to separate myself from you. I don't want you to make me look bad since I gave you my name and all. But yeah, Austin E Thompson Jr. And my website is TM Consulting LLC. That's for entrepreneurship opportunities. B2Bconference.net, all the workshops, and I have a lot more activities coming up by the end of this year, and plus preparing to get back into conference mode next year, since we can sort of get back. Hopefully if the BA5 behaves itself, Lord knows what it'll be, what it'll be like at the beginning of the year. But and 404-587-3949. I have no problem giving out my phone number.
Awesome.
Have no problem. If you misuse it, I just block you.
There's always that.
That's right.
Yeah.
We can cut it short.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Nice.
And for what you young ladies are doing and bringing.
Oh, you called us young.
She's 28.
That's right.
Bringing these important discussions to the table and using this as an important vehicle for the community. I congratulate you on all the work you're doing, and thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And thank you for joining us for Conversations with Karen and Kat.
We're impacting the world one conversation at a time.